Hey guys, welcome back to the channel that teaches you how to make PROCREATE brushes. We're continuing our gouache series with a brush that will be an indelible addition to your illustration or calligraphy work, the Streaky gouache brush. It's a brush that creates a bristly, streaky effect that you can use to add highlights or details to your illustrations. We'll create 3 versions of this brush with built-in PROCREATE shapes and textures that you can use for broad streaks, fine details, or for creating from scratch. Then I'll throw in some troubleshooting tips to teach you how to get the exact effect you want. So, let's get started and make this brush. First, we'll create our standard streaky gouache brush, and to do that, we need an open canvas. Doesn't matter the size dimensions, we just need this open so we can access our brush builder within PROCREATE. Let's start by tapping on the brush icon, selecting a brush library of your choice, could be an existing one or one you've created, then tap on the plus sign here to make a new brush. Now that we're inside the Brush Creator Studio, let's first go into Stroke Path and set Stroke Property Spacing to None. We won't need this option for this version of this brush. Then go to Shape, tap on Edit beside Shape Source, tap Import, and choose Source Library to access the built-in PROCREATE brush shapes. From these selections, let's go with Ink Dry to give us a nice bristly streak. Don't forget to tap Done twice to save selection. Before we move on, let's go to this new addition in the PROCREATE Brush Studio, Touch Properties, and drag the rotation and set it to follow stroke. Next, go into Grain, tap Edit beside Grain Source, tap Import, then choose Source Library to see all the options for textures we can use. From these selections, we'll be using the second version of Bark, as there seems to be 2 grain patterns with this name. Could change at the time of this video, but as of now, that's what it is here. Again, tap Done twice to save selection. Under Grain Behavior is where we adjust the grain image to give us those gorgeous streaks. First, let's make sure Behavior is set to Moving, which it usually is. Then set Movement to 10%. This setting stretches the grain image out and make the source extra streaky instead of just applying the grain's pattern. It now moves with the stroke of your pencil like an actual paintbrush. Now let's scale up the pattern even more by setting scale to 85% so we only get the parts of the pattern we want. Set zoom to 50% so we're at a nice halfway point in how the grain behaves. Down here, let's set brightness to negative 75% because we want as much contrast in the pattern, which we'll achieve by setting contrast to max. Now we can clearly see these bristles come to life. Next, let's go into rendering and set rendering mode to intense blending so we get the most saturated color in our brush strokes. Let's also set burnt edges under blending to max so each stroke looks like it's laying on top of each other. In wet mix, let's set wet mix charge to 35% for a little bit of color variation. Set pull to none so our stroke colors don't mix. That's for another tutorial. And finally, set grade to smooth for the smoothest looking strokes possible. For even more distinction in your brush strokes, let's go into color dynamics, and in stroke color jitter, let's set the values of hue, saturation, lightness, and darkness to 2% for now, but you can play around with this later. In Apple Pencil, let's get rid of that pressure opacity to get consistent clarity for each stroke. Let's give this brush a variable size with your pressure size set to max. Then, to get an even more realistic bristle effect, set flow and bleed both to max. This creates a disappearing effect at the start and ends of your stroke. Finally, in Properties, let's set Smudge Pull to max to help the stamped brush shapes sort of blend into one another, in theory at least. Now that we have all our settings dialed in, let's tap Done to finish our brush. Now comes the fun part, testing it out. You've got this streaky, bristly effect as promised, but your hand movements and stroke speed will determine how thick or how streaky the stroke will be. So take time to find your groove and get the results you want, just like a real paintbrush. Now, if you want a thinner brush stroke for line work and detail, of course, you can just make your brush size smaller and make that work for you. Or you can create a specific brush for that. Let's duplicate this brush, go into the brush settings, and in shape, under shape properties, go down to this circle thing right here and drag this top node here down to flatten your brush shape for a slimmer stroke. Then go into Apple Pencil and get rid of the pressure size value by setting it to 0 since we won't need it anymore. And in Properties, turn off Orient to Screen. Now we have a thin stroke that keeps the same streaky effect for you to use how you need. Finally, for a wider stroke to fill in larger areas, let's duplicate this thin brush, go into Brush Settings, go back to Shape, and reset that circle shape once more to its fullest. Then go to Stroke Path and set Stroke Properties Spacing to 5%. When you do that, if you check in Properties, you'll see that Brush Behavior Maximum Size has more room to expand. So just set that to max and see that we have a larger brush stroke compared to the original one we created, even at maximum size. Feel free to raise the spacing to your liking and max out the maximum size to get the exact size stroke you need. Oh, a few troubleshooting tips for extra customization. To get more or less bristle effect, you can go into Grain and adjust the values of brightness and contrast to get to the point you want. But if you're maxed out with either of these, you can also try adjusting depth, scale, and zoom to help with the variations. To get even more color variation in your strokes, go to Color Dynamics and adjust the values for hue, saturation, lightness, and darkness to get some subtle or not so subtle results. Get funky with it. Finally, to adjust how your pressure size acts with your applied pressure, tap on Max here above the pressure size slider. Tap on the pencil tip icon here, because this is new, and adjust your pressure curve by dragging the center of this line up or down depending on your preference. Dragging down means more pressure is needed to make your stroke thicker, while dragging up means less pressure is needed. Hope you enjoyed creating with this one. Let me know what you make with this brush on Instagram with the hashtag MakeThisBrush or tag us at MakeThisBrush. Your support is always appreciated, so subscribe, like, comment, and get notified for updates if you haven't yet. I'll see you again for the next brush, so until then, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye!